The weekly wave. Oh, I can't spread the nose. The weekly wave. Oh, can you tell me who? The weekly wave. Did you see it? The weekly wave. I'm glad you stopped by. Take him to him, baby. Take him up again. Oh, can you tell me who? Yeah.
Sony's in the radio business.
Dude, the Sony's like they're a nice flat fit,
Yeah, they're flat.
but these have been described to me as the silk panties of headphones. It's just like
They are pretty silky, dude. These are,
hey, let's get it
man.
going. Brown motherfucking Martin, what's going on, brother?
what's happening?
We're both on the Hurtin' Men this morning.
We'll make it.
How long have you done Thursdays at the Bolioli?
Since it opened.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know Danny from Energy before?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So I was doing like, are we rolling?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, I think. That's why I'm looking around, double checking all my shit's going. But
It's good news. Okay.
If you say anything on the record that you want off the record, I can take
We'll
it
just
off the
delete,
record.
yeah.
But that doesn't happen too often. So make it real risque if you're gonna do it. Like make me need to edit.
Now that I know that we're on, I'm good. I'm good.
You sure
Otherwise,
you don't
I was
want
about
this?
to start dropping jokes about drum sets again. We don't need that.
You can say everybody that you think should play that drum set for no particular reason.
Mike Johns would look fantastic behind that drum set.
Honestly, Mike Johns will probably make that thing sound really nice.
I think it sounds really good.
Yeah, dude. There's a guy named Corey Wong who's like part of the new wave of Minneapolis funk. He has a band called Wolfpack, and there's a point in the Corey Wong in the Wong Notes show where they come out and play all mini instruments, and these fuckers slay.
Serious?
Yeah, dude. And it's like it seems like a gimmick until you realize like they're just as tight as any other part of their act.
Yeah.
It's hilarious
Just
to
happens
look
to be
at.
on a child's play school,
Exactly.
like what Jimmy Fallon does with the.
I don't even know the name of that series, but
They'll take
kids
toys and do a song like a Metallica song or something.
dude, the
It's
Metallica
hilarious.
one's probably the best. But what other ones do you like from that series?
That's the one that always sticks out. And I know they've done others. They did like a Justin Timberlake and like some
Nice.
stuff like that, and it was baller.
Dude, I saw a great video of like Jimmy Fallon and Justin Timberlake at some kind of sporting event where they're both just drinking, having a good time.
Oh, yeah.
And the camera hits them and they bust out some dance moves
It's
together.
like Beyonce moves or something.
Yeah,
I remember
they're a
that,
great
yeah.
bromance in the world of
Was.
pop stardom. You know,
It does, yeah.
Jimmy Fallon's kind of fallen off the rocker though in terms of entertainment value. His face pubes are really off-putting. It's like I like baby face Jimmy Fallon a little bit more.
I would agree with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I've looked at Jimmy Fallon's face pubes lately, but it's inspired me. I'm kind of interested now. I want to go. I'm gonna touch them.
Yeah,
Make sure that see what if they're bristly, if they're soft.
They look coarse.
coarse.
Have you ever gone with the beard?
I think I look ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, this is about as long as it gets, and it gets itchy and stuff. And I'm borderline. I think I'm autistic. So like things on my feet, like I get itchy and stuff. I can't deal. So, and then I start scripting. It's like
Dude, it's really weird when you start feeling it rub on a microphone and you're like, gosh,
Yeah.
that's quite the tone.
it's like,
Here's something that not many people can relate to. How many times have you almost chipped a tooth on a microphone?
I can't count. Once I did, actually, somebody hit the stand from in front, and it was just like bang,
Drunk ass hose.
and I was thirsties, and
I was like, what's going on, Thirsties? How we doing?
and I pulled back, and I could taste the dust from my tooth, and I was like, and in my head, the whole damn tooth is gone. I'm like, oh my God, it's over.
Yeah,
My life's over.
You know it's gonna
It
love
was just
me.
a little bit. You can't really tell, but it was like, dude, I was wigging out.
Did
I
you
was
ever get
like-
replaced?
It wasn't bad enough to do that. It just
Okay.
kind of evened out over time.
Dude, so you had a little bit of a
Like,
snaggle.
Yeah.
You know?
So, for a minute there, I was sticking pickles with it and stuff. It was weird.
Just grabbing a little dilly dill, dude.
But yeah, it was like that dusty, and it wouldn't go away. And I'm in the middle of a song, and I'm like, I'm grossed out, and I'm pissed, and I'm looking at Thirsty like, I need you to back away, you know? So like from then on though, like I set up, I give it at least like, I'm 2 feet from the edge of a stage anymore. Cause I'm like, cause people don't know, like some drunk whore will be like, they grab the stand or something. And you're like, what are you doing? Like
that is very overwhelming.
Don't do that.
Yeah. Well, I think the world of what it means to be in the front row has changed greatly, especially during the time that you played music. Like I've always been in the world of someone has a phone in their hand and that's how they interact. And like you had a great phrasing this one time, but I can't remember exactly what it was. But it's like the moment that the phones came out, people stopped, enjoying themselves. Yeah, exactly. It became either capture the judgment or be judged. You know what I mean?
And it's a definite, I didn't realize it at the time until looking back, but like, there's a definite shift in the bars when smartphones became just ubiquitous. It was like, I can draw almost a line of what was happening before in a bar on a nightly basis and what happens since. And it's different. It's just a different animal. It's different people. It's different, things that people do, like the dancing on the bars and things like that. That went away because people are afraid of getting, being on video and being on YouTube in 30 seconds. It's like, it just changed everything.
Did your stage show change much when you started seeing so many videos of yourself playing?
Yeah. I mean, it makes you very aware, and and then you start, I think what it was is that I started seeing pictures and videos more of myself on socials, and it was like, I was like, oh, that's what I look like when I do that. I don't want to do that, or that's what my face looks like when I sing that way. I started to really be aware of how, what, I mean, I was doing, I thought I looked cool doing this or that. And it was not cool. It did not look good. I looked like an idiot, it's like, so you definitely start becoming a lot more aware of how you look, which is, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I try to take it as a good thing. I always want to improve the show. The show isn't just the song. When you're at a live show, it's visual too, so I want it to look good, but it's also another self-conscious stress that's kind of piled on, where I'm like, what I look like and how, there's, especially as I get older, it's a weird.
How old are you, Brad?
47. I'll be 48 in a couple weeks.
You're crushing the game for 47, man. You're a beautiful man.
You know what? I'll take that from another beautiful man.
Thanks, brother. Well, it's odd the way that everyone builds antics into their show, whether it's a conscious effort or not.
Right.
You have side bits and things like that, like your Kenny Chesney story the other day. Like that is clearly a well-refined bit. And I loved, even in Sean's worst day, Sean nailed the backing part of that bit with Mike Johns, where it's like they know when to cut for you and to leave space for this. And sometimes the reflection of, I watched a video of myself telling this story, and I cleaned it up because I noticed that I had all this extra bullshit here, or the phrasing wasn't clean.
Made it better.
But then there's other things where it's like, I know this used to get a pop, like it had some interaction for people, but I don't like how I look doing it, so I'm going to stop doing it. And it's like, people don't really care how you look. They more care of what's going on with it.
Yeah, the vibe or the feeling of it. As an older generation, like we were ingrained in of this self-conscious body image issue type, generation. And it's like, later generation, I feel like that's kind of changed a bit over time, which is a good thing, but like it's still ingrained in my head of what do I look like? What do I, how am I perceived? How am I looked at? Am I the old guy? Am I the, am I gaining weight? Am I like, it's a very self-conscious body image thing that is, I'm not going to say impossible to get past, but it's just there's always this lingering in the back of your head.
Yeah, it's kind of built into the system.
It is, and it's hard to get out of.
Yeah,
definitely.
You grew up in a generation where there's people put up in front of you as representations of what you should look like, and then people model themselves after that. versus now the generations look at themselves so often that there's a different type of dysmorphia that goes on. It's like all the people that are addicted to how they look on a Snapchat filter versus how they look in real life. All the people that are, craving, even if they don't like the way they look, it's the approval of people on the internet. It's getting likes and things like that drives people. Yeah.
And I don't, and that's the thing. That's such a generational difference. Like I didn't get a social media account till I was 30, or whatever.
What was
or
your first?
35 or whatever. I don't know what age it was. MySpace. Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, it was my early 30s, and it was like, and even then, it was kind of fun, but it didn't affect me. It didn't change until Facebook really blew up when it was starting to become, because then MySpace was kind of like the trailer park, and Facebook was the world, so it's like you kind of hid on MySpace. It wasn't, it was all your friends, and it's like, and you were posting stuff from parties, there weren't any filters. I mean, it was like whatever, but all of a sudden it has changed, like, and I didn't grow up with that, so it's a different vibe. If I grew up on that, I can't imagine how different I'd be, and I don't know. The current generation, 20-something, 30-somethings right now is like, I'm like, man, that's an intense difference, and there's so much that's not real about it, but you're taking it as, you're internalizing it like that's reality, and it's not reality at all. That's what's odd.
Well, there's it's tough to walk that line of what is and isn't real, like especially when it comes to interactions where it has a face and a name and something directed at you, but it's not the way they would treat you in person, and there's no way of really bringing those things together because there's no accountability on the internet. Like it used to be that if you talk shit, you're gonna get smacked.
Yeah.
Versus it's like now you're gonna get poked. And so, I'm gonna fuck up your farm bill.
Or if you do it in person, like you got to be careful. I've joked a million times. Like when I first started playing music, you could say pretty much whatever you wanted on a microphone to somebody, and it was like, and the thing is though, I laughed and they laughed, and we all just moved. You could just say the worst possible stuff, and it was like, and it's changed so much to where you had to have a quick wit, a forked tongue, like, 'cause people are going to give you shit. So it's like, you better be able to give it back, and you better be able to do it quick, and it was like, man, I could cut somebody down like that. If I talked now the way I did then, I would never get asked back to a gig.
And did you learn that like situation by situation, or was it just like this pile of jokes that I keep in the back end?
A little bit of both. I've always had, like, if somebody says this, I'm going to say that.
Yeah.
But then there's always that one that says something just ridiculous, and you got to be quick, on your feet. Otherwise, you're just standing there like, and you got beat, and it's like, you never want to get beat like that. And
you definitely don't want to get embarrassed by a heckler. Like that's the saddest thing. They got to play a song,
and you are done after that. Like everybody just turns their back and like, okay, it's like a stand-up comedian. If you better be ready to, if somebody starts heckling, you better have something to say, or you're kind of done for the night. I mean, there's no coming back, So
well, it's different too on the road because you have no safety nets in terms of people. You have no built-in applause. You have no favorite bartender. Yeah, exactly.
Every night. Yeah.
You need to take these people to a place that they trust you, while also giving them a little bit of play with their expectations. You don't want to fall exactly into what they're assuming is going to happen.
And especially staff, because a lot of the places you play local, we're good friends with the staff, and you can kind of get away with some stuff, and they're going to back you up.
Yeah.
I walk into a place that I've never been, wherever. I don't know the staff, and I don't know if the person that I just cut down is dating the bartender.
Yes.
I don't know the dynamics, and it's like, man, you have to win. You kind of dip your toe in the water every night and see where they're at, and if they're having fun with you, or if this is not the place for that,
Yeah. When you graduated high school, were you already gigging?
No. I went to performing arts high school, and so I grew up on like a theater stage. I I was a trained singer from a young age, but I was always doing theater and music theater, and which I thought was the avenue. I thought that was the road to go. I honestly didn't grow up in the bar scene. So my family was not a bar scene family. So like I didn't really have that outlet. I didn't know that was a possibility. Much less did I know that it was a possibility to make a living playing covers in bars. I didn't know that. So I thought, this is the avenue you take. You're on stage. I'm going to move. I'm going to teach or whatever it is, or I'm going to do my originals and see if I can make it. So I was doing originals. So I would do.
And this is what age are you starting to push both?
I didn't pick up a guitar till I was 20. So
that's a tough barrier to entry, then, man.
It is. Most
it was
people.
Shitty.
It was not. The first chords I ever learned was watching music videos on MTV or VH1 or whatever it was. And
where these guys don't even know the chords. There's pantomime.
Yeah, and I was like, that sounds about right, And it was. But I remember sitting on my couch and I was watching a Goo Goo Dolls video or whatever it was, and I'm like, if I do that, okay, that's close enough. And those are my first chords, and I was self-taught from there.
Dude, what a hilarious band to try to do that with because of all the open tunings.
Because all their changed tunings. I'm like, that was dumb.
Yeah. It's like watching Jimmy Page play like one of those classic, like all acoustic Zeppelin pieces. Like, this doesn't really add up in terms of the math.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a garbage.
Why does it sound like that when I do it? Yeah, like Goo Goo Dolls, like they have every song's in a different tuning. So yeah, that was.
Do you remember what songs you were watching on these videos?
Name.
Okay.
Was one. I remember watching a Matchbox 20 video, and I don't think it was 3 a.m., but I remember. And then I was doing a theater show through church that a guy handed me a guitar, and he said, all right, I need you to play these two chords. He showed me a D and a G. He's like, just do it. And I was like, all right. And so I picked those up, and that was kind of the beginnings of me going, oh, I'll kind of play around with this. And I wanted to write. So I started writing, and I would do original shows.
Just original shows? Like before you had a cover repertoire, you had tunes?
I didn't really have it. The cover repertoire I had was my favorite songs that I would sit and learn for fun.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of informed the writing, I'm sure. It's
Absolutely,
like that put the vocab behind it.
And that's, I think, why I wanted to write rock songs. I was a grunge guy. I wanted to write, Foo Fighters and Nirvana and Pearl Jam. And everything came out like John Mayer and Jack Johnson, and it was just like, and I was really frustrated, but then I was like, well, maybe that's just how it is, and that's okay, so it took me a minute to be okay with that. But then I would go out and I'd play like Mad Frog or somewhere would have like original shows, or Addie's out in Anderson, or like there was like these little random bars that would have.
Did you do Never on Sunday at any point?
I did. Yeah. Back then.
It's so odd to see the way that some of these clubs have changed names. And it's like, and the next generation misses out on the relevance because you don't realize it's the same room that you're standing in. Like Riverfront Live to Annie's. It's like Annie's has a very odd, storied reputation. Like Metallica weird. Played there.
Yeah,
it's like
weird. Yeah.
A lot of people got shot there. Like things went down.
Things kind of worked out for those guys.
Yeah.
They made it.
They didn't get the dime bag, so I mean, at least you're good on that. Dude, isn't it the saddest thing to think of, like, you're really gonna kill a guy during his concert? Like yeah, exactly. It's like greatest rock and roll martyrdom story of all time. But just the morbidness of it. It's like, compare that to how John goes out, where it's like dude standing in front of his apartment door, like, and the stalker made it up because he was a little too trusting. And the idea of being a celebrity to that extent is unfathomable to all of us. But John seems like a trusting guy, and then he gets that. But like, someone comes into your show where nowadays you go through 3 security checkpoints, you get frisked by TSA, then you get touched for the willies,
Yeah, and then you have the one guy that's not really even on the staff, and he just wants to touch.
he's just the third guy in line.
Third guy, he's like, all right, let me.
He's like, I take my time with calves. And I have to see, like, you're going to have to lift your pant leg, brother.
No, flex.
Dorsiflex, plantar flex. Dorsiflex.
Flex harder. Cavity check.
Dude, no,
Yeah,
Brad Martin.
What? I mean, that's what that's a TSA for you.
So you're playing like a Mad Frog on how many tunes do you have at this point in time?
That was the thing. It was like you'd be one of 4 or 5 acts. You'd play for 40 minutes. The problem with these were every one of these gigs. You're with a promoter and you'd have to sell your tickets and promote it, and the tickets that you sold or the people that came is how you got paid. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I'm like, cool, okay, I'll make some money. And I'm selling tickets, and I'm like, all right, I should make this amount of money. Not after they're cut, So I would do I would just be working my ass off to get people to come to a show, and I'd have a great night, and then at the end of the night, it'd be like, it was like $27. And I'm like,
for you and your how many guys?
I'm like, that was just for me, but I was just like, okay, this is how I mean, so in my head, I was like, all right, if I want to do originals, I got to leave town. So I'm not going to get this. No one's looking at this, this was for fun for this line. These shows are for fun.
And did you feel that way based on like what you had to do to get people there, or was just what you're seeing on the outside?
It was just too much work for too little return. I couldn't justify it. I couldn't justify. If I wasn't looking to do something more with it, it probably would have been fine. If I was happy playing on my couch and in a garage, then I would have been unhappy playing. But I wasn't, and that was the whole idea of getting out and playing. Is like I didn't like sitting at home and playing. I needed that give and take. I needed that approval that it's right or it's good. And I think that's the difference. My happy place is an engaged crowd. My happy place is people enjoying what I'm doing. And I think sometimes that's why I'm decent at my job now is I don't care if I'm playing a song I don't like. I get off on them liking it, enjoying it, singing it back to me at the same time, the room energy. I'm an energy reader, and I mean, I can read an energy in a room, and I think that's my, my, one of those things I do that you can't really put a finger on. I know when to change a genre. I know when to, this isn't working. Let's change it. Let's do something else, for the room. I can feel that in the room. But I think that's why I wasn't happy playing at home. I needed that energy release, and that return. So I played those for a while until I got a random call from a friend that was like, hey, a friend in Mainstrasse, it's called Mulligan's at the time. They wanted some music on Tuesday night, but they want covers. And I was like, oh, all right. I went and I played a couple hours to 3 people, and they paid me like $75. And I thought that was the world. I was like, oh,
bingo.
All right. And so that kind of like cracked the door. I was like, wait a minute. And so.
And did you kind of panic fill that set list, or was this all stuff that you would?
I had 30 songs I could play covers, which go really, really fast when you don't have anything else, know.
Especially when you don't know how to pace, or you don't know how to fill time, or, I think about.
I don't have any banter back then, it was a weird time. Yeah.
And if you're an acoustic guitar player, singer, it's like no one's taking leads. No one's playing the instrumental. It's like if you can't play those lines underneath your own chording, then well, it's time to move on to the next song, and you're on number 11 and 30 minutes have gone by.
Yeah, and you don't have a loop pedal, or I didn't have any of this. I had.
Did you have a PA?
I had a little PA. It was one of those, back then it was $500. One of those like Yamaha Stage Pass, like
nice.
It got me by, and but it was, I needed something better, but I had to pay for itself. I had to make that money first, and But yeah, I mean, for what I was doing, I was like, oh, this is easy, it's great. And before I knew it, I was playing 2 to 3 gigs a week without trying. The owner of that was like, hey, come play at my other place. And then somebody see me there, hey, what are you doing Saturday night? And it was just like, without even trying, it was just kind of like this weird, it was very grass. I was like, okay. And then at the time, I was doing mortgages.
Like subprime mortgages, like sketchy deals, like
it wasn't sketchy ones, but yeah, but I was commissioned. I was 100% commissioned during the day, and I was playing some music at night. And as the recession was hitting, I was getting less money, and I was playing more music to make some money.
Yeah.
And it had been a long road to get there.
What year is this approximately?
I was 7.
Okay. So you're really talking about the recession. We don't know what's on the other side, but you can feel it in the housing market or in large-scale purchases.
It's about to pop, and, it was not a good time.
But who would have thought that live music would have a profitable avenue during a time with less expendable income, you know?
Yeah. And I was, I had been playing random gigs through my 20s, but never thought much of it, and I was doing other jobs. I had day jobs and stuff.
Did you have a band during your 20s?
Mm-mm. I experimented with a band, and we played a few shows. It didn't work out well. We tried. It was. I bit off more than I could chew at that time because I wasn't in the scene, and that's one thing I've always told people is like, if you want to get in the scene, the best thing to do is immerse yourself, is to get out, watch what other people do.
Yeah, go to the shows.
See how they operate, see how they banter, see what songs they play. You'd be surprised, and it's to just jump in head first without knowing the scene I wasn't ready for that.
Well, and as a Cincinnati guy, it's like we have an odd thing about there's many factions of our scene. There's not really one overarching scene that's mutually beneficial and charismatic towards each other. It's like not even between genres where you see like, the greatest musical changes that happen in the pop world have been because of one scene's section comes out with 5 bands that sound like this one thing, but they're all their own flavor of that. It's there's not a lot of
subgenres almost, yeah.
And we don't have a lot of mutual appreciation in that. So it's kind of hard to imagine putting yourself in the scene.
And back then it was very segmented. You had people I listened to rock music and that is it. These people listen to country music and that is it. These people listen to pop dance music and that is it. And it was a weird, that has melded more over time. The rock, pop, and country are all about the same thing now, and it's like, which has changed how I approach it. Back then I was like, all right, I'm a rock guy. And I was like, I won't learn country, but that was normal back then.
You had a niche, you had a lane.
Yeah, and it was like, and I booked well with that, but it took me a while because it was almost a badge of honor. I was like, I don't play country. Now, with the places I play, if I was like, I don't play country, they're going to be like, thanks.
Then you don't work here. Yeah, exactly.
Good night, so it was like, I had to change with the times, and that's what's kept me working, and that's what's kept me booked is not that I love Morgan Wallen, but I damn well better have some Morgan Wallen these days, or I'm not going to get booked, or I'm making extra money doing it, and it's like, it helps, so.
Well, I think like you said, if the goal here is to entertain those people to the nth degree, you got to find out what they like. Yeah. You got to invest time in what they like. It's I'd imagine it's similar to being a chef where it's like, I'm not even the one eating it, so what am I bitching about?
Why am I mad about it? Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I choose to die on that hill where it's like, I don't like the song. I'm not going to do it to myself. But I think most of the time, like tell me about when DJs come on the scene and DJs start taking, their 50% of these gigs.
Mm-hmm. That was a tough pill to swallow because you got mad about it. But then in my head, it was, well, I mean, I've always said there's problem solvers and there's problem identifiers. And that's what separates success. Everyone identified the problem and everybody just sat there and stared at it. In my head, I'm like, all right, well, what can we do with this? What can I do about that? So that's when I was starting Cherry on Top, my previous band. And so I was like, all right, well, our competition then isn't bands. Our competition's DJs. Mm-hmm. And so we started doing, dance songs and medleys and, because DJs, it is a nonstop thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop, so, and I think that was what I was seeing with a lot of bands. They would stop and they would take a couple minutes between songs and you'd lose people because their engagement had changed over time. 20 years ago, people would wait. They'd stand there, they're ready for the next song, but they're going to wait. Now you take too much time between songs, and they're on their phones, they're at the bar, they're talking to friends, you've lost them. So it was like this particular time I started realizing like, oh, I can't sit here and, well, what are we doing next? And, let's tune and, hey, on this song, do this, on this song, and it's like, we had to go.
Yeah. Well, it's really weird too, the way that, that time is not gone. Like your band needs time to tune, look at the set list, take a drink, re-prep, in. Yeah. And in that time, you don't get to stand there as the front man. It's time for you to talk to the crowd.
Banter and talk. Yeah, absolutely.
And during that time, it's like you have to tune. You have to take a drink. Like the guy who's using his voice the most is the one that has to do that. It's kind of, it runs you down quick when you're trying to compete with 4 hours nonstop.
And that's a hard, and especially like those 4-hour gigs, the Tin Roof gigs and stuff are a beast, because you've got to engage. It's a young crowd, and you got to be on their level a little bit. So during a song, I'll be playing a song, I'm scanning the crowd at a group to talk to or a bachelorette party that I need to address. Or if I see a tiara or a sash, all right, I got something over here, and it's like you're taking inventory of, we're going to take a break because my drummer needs a drink and to rest his arms for a sec, things like that. It's like, it stops and it's like, hey, what we got over here? It's like you've got to be ready to go. And at the same time, I've got my lead guitarist, hope he's getting ready, he's going to sing the next song maybe or something. It's like,
building in relief to your set.
Yeah, I have to. So it's like, I need the next song off on my voice. But yeah, man, if you're not constantly engaging in today's crowd, you're going to lose them.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, it's such a comparing it to DJs is, you're right, not only is that the competition, it's not the actual DJs that are the competition, it's the fast-paced entertainment that comes along with that medium. As you started to develop medleys, did you go back and look at that world and look at the DJs and take those medleys, or did you? Okay.
Sure. I remember sitting at a pool once years ago, and there was a DJ playing, and he started sampling songs over top of each other, and I remember taking notes in my head, like, oh, I could do this song with that song. Yeah, we could probably do that, and you just start taking those mental notes, and because if it worked, I could do it live. I'd rather, and it was like, and it was cool. It was fun to do. It ran its course because I got a little burned out on it.
Making every song a medley starts to feel like a real chore, and it takes away from the actual arrangement.
And let's say we had one medley. It was a good 20-minute, 90s hip hop medley.
Yeah.
I loved all those songs. So I was like, cool, let's do this. And we did it. There were gigs we'd get into, and we'd start that medley, and I would lose the crowd in the first or second song because that wasn't their thing. And in my head, I'm like, crap. I've got 20 more minutes of this medley that is not going to work, know?
Like these are going to get more less well known as time goes on. If the first hook didn't work.
Yeah, if this first one didn't get you, I'm screwed, know? And it was like, so I had to have outs, I was like, all right, turn it, I had I do a lot of hand signals behind my back for the drummer and stuff, and I'd give him the fist on some of those, like,
we're getting out of here.
We're out of here, so like, wrap it up, I do the foot stomp, like, we're wrapping this song up, it's, we got to go. But yeah, there was a lot of that. So I had to have both. You had to have medleys and you had to have single songs, too many medleys. I didn't want to call it cheating. It felt sometimes like cheating. I was like, can I do a whole song? Yeah, we can do a whole song.
Yeah.
I liked being able to have a little bit of both.
Well, and it's interesting that there's less time now for verse 3 or the bridge or things like that.
Oh yeah, I skip bridges a lot anymore.
Yeah, when it's like, do I want to do that? Sometimes the bridge is top notch and I have to go there. Like yesterday I was playing This Love on a gig. It's like,
oh yeah,
for This Love, the rest of the song is a lot of fun, but you'd be surprised how many people want to sing along.
That,
yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes I walk over the bridge and I see someone standing next to their friend, takes that in breath and she's ready to rip it, and I don't know this part. It's just like,
You're like, crap.
Yeah,
Oops. Yeah.
I didn't know the consumer enough and how they felt about this material to make.
Which actually makes me feel better you say it, because you're closer to their age than I am. So it's like, if you don't always know that, that makes me feel a little better that I don't always know it too. Because I'm like, man, maybe I should know my crowd better, you know. And I rely on a lot of the younger players anymore. I get a lot of song ideas from guys your, you know, like a different age group, because I found a long time ago, you know, I was trying to play the latest hits for a while. It wasn't working. I found that, let's say you've got a 25-year-old crowd, average age. If you go back to their coming of age in music, 10 to 15 years ago, you'll have them eaten out of your hand, because that's their soul of music, you know. So, but that's always moving. Every year it's changing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like a lot of us play, you know, guys that are in our 40s or whatever now, we got stuck playing these songs because they were working 10 years ago. And a lot of guys are just hanging on to these songs, but they're working less and less because that's what these people's dads listen to, or, you know, and it's like, I had to keep shifting this window.
Yeah.
You know, like.
And some things stay. Some things are in the category of insatiable hits.
Yes.
You'll never lose them.
Yes.
And sometimes, like you said, like if you're playing the what's popular right now, there's some songs that make it and they're here to stay. But reading when to get off of some of these guarantees, like I think about Shut Up and Dance. It's like that song has become an aneurysm inducer, okay? Like it hurts people to hear that song.
Anymore,
It's a great song. It's like we did this to ourselves by abusing an ace up the sleeve, you know?
And overplaying it, and it was like it was an easy win, you know, back then. And it worked because it was an all ages song and it was hot. But yeah, you've got to be able to back off of those songs too. But you know, unfortunately, things like "Don't Stop Believing" will never go away. I wish they would. They won't.
Well, especially
so you've got to have these in your back pocket.
Yeah, the ones that become so redundant like that to us are tough. But at the same time, like you said, if I start this and you sing along from top to bottom, who am I to judge?
I did my job.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the idea. And the thing is, they won't remember that you played the song the 5,600th time. They just remember they had a great time that night.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to get out of your head, what do I like? And it's hard because, you know, especially songs that we play every night. I know I've played it 1,000 times. It's this person's first time hearing us play it, you know, and we have to act like that. You know, we can't be up here rolling our eyes, playing it, you know, sighing, shrugging our shoulders. That's because they're like, what the hell's wrong with them? You know, it's like they've never heard us play. It's the first time hearing us. We need to act like it's, you know, this is one of our favorite songs, you know, and especially if it's one of their favorite songs, you know. So, you know, I'm tired of playing 3 a.m., but I know exactly who to play it to when they walk in the door. I profile everybody. I'm like, oh, girl, I got you.
Yeah,
and I got this you know, I'm like, I got you. You know, it's like, and it'll slam. You know, if you play it to the right people, it slams. And you have to act like you like it.
Yeah, and there is a weird amount of profiling that goes into it. It's like you said, you're reading the crowd the entire time you're playing something else. Like, here's my active thoughts and then my passive actions. I'm playing this song. I hit the chorus. It's like I know I can look up and start looking around, trying to figure out what's the next step here. How do you deal with the staleness in terms of the set list for bandmates? Because you're the one that says sit. You know, you're the one that says come. It's like they don't have the rhyme or reason the way that you do. So the affirmation of it's different.
It is, and it's tough. It's not an easy. And everyone is so different. You know, I look at myself as a personality manager, you know, more than anything. Talent is, I'm not going to say easy to come by, but like we're all at a certain level of talent and above. So, you know, I'm not really worried as much about playing well if you surround yourself with the right people. It's about keeping people engaged and happy and And some of that is letting people give some song ideas and choices, even if I don't think that they're going to work. We'll try it. Let's try it, and we'll see. But I think what I just said earlier is what I've said to my bands over time, many times, is, just because we've played it this many times, it's their first time hearing us, and we have to get that in our head. And it's like, and if you're not feeding off of that, you have to be able to feed off of that energy, off of that crowd. And if not, maybe this isn't the right avenue, if you want to play your favorite songs, this, some of what I'm doing might not be what your right avenue, I met a guy years ago that was phenomenal lead guitarist, and I was talking to him about playing with him. And he was like, well, as long as I don't have to play like Wonderwall and stuff. And I was like, well, we're going to get asked to play Wonderwall. And he's like, I'm not playing it. And I went, well, this isn't for you then, and but he knew that, I knew that. Fine. That's okay. I'm not mad at anybody for that. It's just not for everybody, but it's a uphill battle because there are some songs we play every gig.
Yeah. And there's some songs that if you double dip in a day, it's like you might play them twice. You might get asked to play the same song on the same set sometimes. If someone puts up the right dollar bill, you might do it for them. And there's something endearing and ridiculous about that. It's a different kind of pest in your life.
Right.
But it's like, I don't know, if someone wants to watch Allen Iverson dunk a basketball for the third time this game, like, maybe that's their shit.
That's what they want.
Yeah, and I shouldn't say unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the person that has to go back in the kitchen and make that same meal and do the same party trick, but at the same time, you're trying to enhance that experience. And
yeah, you're there. You're not there necessarily for you. You're there for the night. You're there for the venue. I've always said my job isn't music. My job's bar sales. If I can get people to get a few extra rounds, another bucket, and the bar has a great night, I'm getting asked back.
Yeah.
I could be Eric Clapton, and if they have a bad bar night, I'm not getting asked back. They just don't likely not getting asked back because they're like, we didn't make any money.
Well, and think about like the jam bands where it's like people show up, on their substances and they don't drink at all. It's like there's a really hard sale to make to rooms to have you back if you don't push out their highest profit margin products. Yes,
and that's the key. I'm not up here begging people to buy me shots.
Yeah,
but I talk about them.
Yeah,
and it's like we're going to talk about having a drink, even if I'm taking the night off, or like last night I think I had 2 shots the whole night, but I sure talked about it plenty.
Yeah,
and it was like, one of my go-to lines is, look, I'm not buying your shot. I'll buy my shot.
Yeah,
you buy your shot.
Yeah,
and we'll all do them together. And it's like just putting that idea in their head, and like just constantly talking about, the bar. The sales, and it's like that's a key to. I think people get so wrapped up in playing and singing well, which obviously we have to do, but if you're silent otherwise, it's like you got to engage the room, and you do a great job of it too, where it's like between songs we're talking, maybe it's just this table right now, but I'm talking to somebody, we're having a conversation, and it's like it's engaging the room, and it's like if you're not doing that, you're missing half the battle.
Yeah, well, it's tough to engage the room every single night, depending on what's going on in your personal life, and I really respect guys that when they hit the stage, they go to work, and that's tough. Dude, last night I was at the Lexington Tin Roof, and it's like, this is end of school year college crowd, and it's like, I can only entertain you so much because on a nice day, you're going to be on the back patio. No one's sitting within 40 feet of me. It's like, and I got to entertain you.
Yeah.
And the one, so people were bringing us lemon drops all night. And, the lemon drop's not my preference.
Yeah.
First one someone brought me had a bug in it. And then this young lady tried to hand off her number. And I was like, I'm taking, and there's a bug in that. But I'll take the shot. And I shot that bug, you know what I mean? It was foul.
A little extra protein,
Dude, but it's just
make
like,
it chewy.
But like, this person has come up to make a friend out of me. I already have to be an asshole. Like, no, this is about music. Please stay though. You know,
and
like,
please hang out. We're having a good time. Chink.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and I'll shoot this bug. It's like, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's also knowing your place in the night too. You know, I'll play a dinner time set from 6 till 9.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm looking out and it's a bunch of families with their kids, I'm probably not engaging them to buy Jaeger bombs.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like kind of know your role. You know, so it's like it's a dinner time set. I'm wallpaper right now, and that's okay too. You know, like knowing your place. You know, is if you're playing to a room like that where there's everybody's outside, you're inside with 10 people at the bar. It's like, all right, you know, maybe I'll throw out some quips and then I'll yell at somebody at the bar or something. But it's like, if that's not what the night calls for, you look like an idiot. If you're up there like, hey, everybody, let's do some shots, and there's nobody in front of you, and they're like, this guy's delusional, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and we both know folks that like they'll force their regular programming,
yes,
and it's like
you can't force it.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be able to have background music nights and prime time and obscure bullshit. You know, like one thing that I find interesting.
Can I pause real quick?
Yeah.
I keep getting a buzz. I want to make sure that there's not something important I'm missing. Sorry.
You keep your phone in your cargo pocket?
Don't talk to me right now.
No, I'm gonna talk to you right now. Listen, like you have a beautiful son.
I do.
He's an adult. He should
is.
be the one to check you in the retirement home because you're not allowed to do that,
I
Brad.
can't have cargos?
No, you're. I talk a lot of shit about.
I'm a guy on the
cargos.
go. I need pockets.
Dude, I would love
I've
to
got
see
pics in here.
Exactly. I would
I've got
love to see you pour pics out of a cargo pocket. Just like
just a whole
your boy's
handful of
never
them.
empty. Do you hand out the Brad Martin pics a lot? Is that like one of your promo tags?
Yeah, it is. It's got my website on it.
And do you like those pics? Are you not
Enough.
Okay. Yeah.
They're not. I looked. My preferred pick. I was a Tortix years ago that I was trying to get customed, and then you had to make thousands, you know, to customize a Tortix or whatever the number was, and I was like, I'm good. So I just went through Steve Clayton. I found the closest thing I could. So I like it. I went through a few versions.
Yeah.
And they were shredding like crazy, and I was like, because I'm pretty heavy player.
You got a heavy right hand.
I do.
That
And it's
Taylor
like,
looks like it. You know?
I could beat the crap out of those strings. But yeah, I had to a lot of trial and error. I had to find a new pick I liked, which was kind of a pain.
Especially when you're trying to order custom ones. You know,
Yeah.
it's like,
You
okay,
gotta
if I
order
get a
at least
wrong,
this many.
if I get a wrong batch of 500, like I got
a
pics with my
bag.
old name. You know,
Yeah,
like
and I've got a bag of AG picks, you know, audio graffiti ones. I took one out to play the first time, and one strum and it broke in half, and I went, I never used them again.
It's such an interesting material that you need to have because chips in a pick is it's over. You know, like if I lose the point or the corner, it's like, why am I still holding? Yeah, exactly. So how many did I bring on this kick? You know, 15. It's like I'm breaking one early in the song. It's like we are in a bad.
Every
sitch.
show I have at least 5 in my pocket, just in case, because I'm like, I'll get tired of this pick, and it's like, and I don't know what it's not that much of a difference, but it's enough that I feel better playing with a new pick. You know, that sharp edge of a pick, I'm like, oh, that feels better. I don't know why, but it's like, we're talking about this much space of, you know, wear, and I'm like, nope, hate that one.
Dude, well, especially when they are promo material. Like there's something so defeating about seeing your stickers strewn across the floor at the end of the night, or seeing your picks all over. For me, it's like the amount of lighters that get stolen.
Oh yeah.
But if they end up in somebody's pocket or on a water bottle or in their life in some way, shape, or form, it's done its job. Just how much can I rationalize that waste?
Yeah, can you justify that money? You know, you see money, you know, and I get that too. Or it's like, I stopped loading up on merch many years ago because it was a frustrating venture. You know, you had to have a lot of shit, and you had to invest. You know, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars of stuff, and it was like,
and you
I'm
never
just
have the right
giving it
size.
away, or I'm like, ugh, you know, koozies, you know, are giveaways. Well, they're still a couple bucks a piece, you know, and it's like, that's out of my pocket, you know, so I was trying to bundle things and sell. I tried a bunch of different stuff, but I was just like, all right, I'm good, you know.
Well, then with someone with, like, if you have a friend like Dave, or you have someone that does, you know, garment production, you can make this a reasonable part of your life without having to drag out 3 tubs of T-shirts.
Yes.
And it's like, for me, it's like, I always don't have the size that they need. I'm always out of that sticker. I'm running low on lighters. Like, there's always a continual upkeep in the cost.
Yep.
And this stuff does go missing, get stolen, get spilt on, all that. Just like, it's way less safe of a transaction than I go to my gig, I play my gig, I get paid. It's like, and if I walk out in one piece, we're cool.
Yeah. Depending on the place. Yeah.
Hot diggity, hot diggity.
It's a good feeling. No, I used to carry around like a box of T-shirts and all, stuff. And it was just like, it was almost more of a hassle than it was worth. And I couldn't justify it.
Yeah. Well, I always have such an odd experience with it because like 90% of the time I set it up to break it down. It is what it is. But then you'll have people that they'll come up on your set break. They haven't heard a song yet. They're like, I like that T-shirt. Honey, you gonna buy me that T-shirt? Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, well, there's $15 that meant it was worth setting up tonight.
Well, and it's also a perception. When somebody walks into your gig, they see, your retractable banner, they see your T-shirts and your lighters. They see a setup, and they're like, "Oh wait, this guy knows what he's doing." Mm-hmm. This isn't some just hack. They pulled in from under a bridge to play a few tunes. I mean, this guy does this. And it's a perception. So whether it's even bought or not, I don't know if is always the issue.
Yeah, there's a presentational aspect.
Presentation to it, and I think that's as important as selling it. It's like, because Adam Calvert, I think, same way. Like he brings this whole setup, and I was like, and some of it was pretty ingenious. It was like he was just buying disposable shot glasses and putting a sticker on them.
Yeah, and then for every Facebook like, you get a shot glass.
Yeah, and I was like, that's great. That's great stuff. It's like, that made me kind of want to bring some of that back. But it's a presentation that I think is as important as selling it. Mm-hmm. Totally.
But it's hard to say what is waste, what is worth it. And also, I think, so when did you start Cherry on Top? And is that your first product band?
Big band, yeah.
Yeah.
First, I dabbled in bands. I'd sat in with bands. I filled in for 6 months with this band or that band, but none of it was ever mine. Mm-hmm. That was my first band. And, it started rough. I mean, we were partying, we were playing dives, and I mean, we got a reputation for just putting down a lot of alcohol. And I was like,
it was a 5-piece, right?
It was a 5-piece, and the first year and a half of that band, what happened, and it's like, and I remember my buddy that he was running Pavilion in Mad Adams at the time, and he was like, and me and him used to drink a lot, and he came up to me once, he goes, "Man, you guys can drink." And that's when it hit me. I was like, oh crap. I was like, we're getting a reputation. And so we kind of had to come to Jesus. And I said, look, here's 2 avenues we can go here. We can just be a party band that has really good players, good product, but we're going to play some dive bar because we're not going to get bigger if we're sloshed by the 3rd set. It's like, it's just not in the cards. Or we can clean up a little bit, and that's when we changed we tried to, moderate our drinking. We started putting on shirts and ties for the guys, she was dressing in nice dresses. We changed the image, we changed the idea, and it was like we decided we wanted to go towards A band rather than C band, and we took that crossroads, and we did well with it. We did, I think, 512 gigs with that band or something over 8 years.
Nice.
We did a good job. We traveled. We had we were on the road a bit.
Is that kind of the beginning of your current touring status?
Yeah. That's where we really built up, and it was a lot of legwork, then to get into some of these places, So it was like it's a lot of work, but we traveled. We were doing the Key West thing, and the Bar 145 was big at the time, and there were Bar 145s. Around.
They have one of those up in Dayton, right? Like
they used to.
By Austin Landing.
Austin Landing, yeah. The original,
nice clubs.
Yeah, they were fun. The original one was in Toledo, and the owner of that was the son of Mr. Ed's owner. It was like this whole like.
Yeah. So
we kind of got in through that, and we played a lot of those. So we were traveling with that, and we did well. It just was a bit of a grind for 5 people, and we were driving everywhere, for most part. And it was it was the whole typical 5 of us in a van driving 4, 5, 6 out, whatever it was.
Yeah, when did that accident happen?
When was that?
How many years into the band-ish?
We were probably, I don't know, 4 years into the band. We were driving to Marietta, Ohio, to play at the Adelphia. And, we're going about 50, on a divided highway, and a off-duty ambulance pulled out in front of us, and we just broadsided them. It was rough.
What seat were you in?
The passenger seat, front passenger seat. So, like, I broke my hip because the dashboard came in, and so it jammed my leg into my, and
You're lucky you didn't lose a leg. Sweet Jesus.
we're lucky nobody died. Yeah. Because, well, and here's real quick. I'll say this: there was 5 of us in the band, right? So, driver, passenger, and then we had 2 benches with our stuff behind. It's a 15-passenger van. So there was us 2 in the front. Brian was laying down on the front bench. Tiffany was laying down on the back bench. Baines, our bass player, had driven separately with his girlfriend. If Baines had not driven separately, somebody would be dead because Brian and Tiffany were both laying down. Accident happened. All of our amps and stuff flew forward. Our front seats, protected us.
Mm-hmm. But if they would have had a head over the top of the bench.
But if Baines had been in the van, 2 people would have been sitting up, right? They wouldn't have been laying down on the bench. So they would have taken that in the back of the head, and somebody would be dead, definitely. The van was destroyed. I mean, it was a mess. But the van saved our lives, too. It was an old, 98, 99, like one of those really strong, they don't make them like that anymore, vans. And,
a big Chevy express van kind of thing.
It was a 15-passenger with the removable back seats and stuff. Everyone else got knocked out. I was still coherent, so I was like the adrenaline was going. I get out. I'm like, all right, I'm taking inventory. I go around to the and Boggs, who's my drummer in Audio Graffiti. He was in Cherry on Top with me. He was driving. Well, I opened up the door and he's knocked out on the steering wheel, and I carried him with a broken hip to the, it was this weird, surreal, I'm getting people out. I look out in the grass and I'm like, man, that looks like one of our lights. It looks like one of our fans. It's 75 yards away. I'm like, is that one of our, and I was like, that is. Our stuff was thrown 50 yards. The van just exploded and there's just stuff everywhere. Ambulance comes, and I'm like, all right, I'll get in the ambulance.
Another ambulance shows up.
Yeah, to help the ambulance. And
how did they do?
They were roughed up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not a pretty scene.
Who sustained the worst injuries of everyone in the accident?
Boggs had a broken rib, and he had stitches in the back of his head.
From gear flying up?
Yeah, everything hit, it was, that's back when I used an amp and stuff. We had amps and all of our gear and road cases. Shit's heavy, It's
amps on wheels to start, so it's let's get a running start here before we jump over the back bench. And
Tiff had it wasn't a displaced break, but she had a break in her leg. I had a broken hip. It was all, we all took a pretty even swipe at it. I just remember pulling away in the ambulance. I'm looking out the back of the ambulance, and all of a sudden I'm looking out, and all of our gear is in the street, and we're all pulling away. And I went, oh, that's $20,000 worth of stuff laying in the intersection, and no one that I know is. And so I was like, so I called Baines, who had driven separate. I said, hey man, I don't know where you are. I don't know if this is the right, but I need you to get to this intersection. I don't even know what to tell you to do.
Yeah.
Just, he was 20 minutes away. He ends up coming. But yeah, man, you talk about stress. I was just watching, my tailors laying in the street, and I'm just like, oh my God,
Your tailors laying in the street, your band's half incapacitated, and you don't know what's broken or.
Yeah, you don't know if anybody's going to die later. It was it's a messed up time, man.
How long did you take off gigging after that?
I took off the next night.
That's it. Healed. Fixed.
All better. Well,
Gaff tape, bro.
as you know, like there's no sick pay in this job, you know? So it's like, so man, that was on a Friday. I took off Saturday. Well, so we're in the middle of nowhere. We start calling family to come get us. They come and then we put all of our stuff, like God bless our friends and family that came out. There was like 4 or 5 cars that came out. So we didn't get home till 6 or 7 in the morning. We were up all night in the hospital. Anyway, so I'm like, next day I'm like, all right, I'm not going to work. Duh.
I'd hope.
So Tuesday comes around and me and Sean were playing a duo that night. I was like, hey man, I was like, you want to carry my stuff and we'll play? And he's like, okay. Like, you sure? I'm like, not really, but here goes, you know? So I'm like propped up on a stool with my leg out. I'm like, here we are. Yeah, I mean, It was...
How'd the hip heal?
Fine.
How many years out are you from that injury?
6.
Okay.
Yeah, something like 5 or 6 years. And it just, I mean, it still pops and has weird stuff, you know, but...
It's such... you don't realize how lucky you are to be healthy and capable until something like that at the center of your being says, all right, now for the rest of your life, if you go for a run, if you take this step, if you lift like this, you're going to feel...
It changed. I mean, I had one way of working out before, a different way of working out after. You know, I can't run on the treadmill. You know, that impact doesn't work anymore, you know. So, yeah, it changes your life. I mean, at a peak age, you know, it's like, dude, I was... best shape of my life, you know, and all that. And it's like I had to change, you know, a lot. So it was a very formative day, you know, that happens in a split second.
Did you consider leaving music after something like that?
No. I was grateful, and but it never really crossed my mind that, you know, to not do this. In fact, I probably doubled down a little bit, you know, and I, you know, worked harder than ever, you know, like as my parents will tell you, if you want to have me do something, tell me I can't, you know, type thing. It's like this chip on my shoulder is, you know, the size of a building, you know, so it's like, you know, at every turn, if somebody says, no, it's like, I'm going to have to do it now.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, heroin sounds pretty neat.
Yeah.
You know?
Brad, you can't do heroin. Well, watch me.
Check out this morphine drip. That's pretty close, man.
I mean, I grew up with Kurt Cobain, all right? Let's get real.
How's it been to watch heroes of your younger generation have such tragic ends, like Chris Cornell and Prince and whatnot? Does that take a big impact on you as a player?
You know, yeah. Cobain was a weird time because I was a much bigger STP and Pearl Jam fan. I love Nirvana because it kind of ushered it all in. But I'm not going to say you half expected it, but it wasn't a huge surprise. And to be honest, between you and I think she did it.
Yeah, there's enough podcasts that
Courtney
if you
Love.
want information, my friends, like
Courtney Love. So anyway, I've watched enough of those documentaries and stuff. I'm like, all right, anyway.
Dude, I love when they're like, the CIA was giving her acid to take everywhere, you know, and just distribute as she would. And then she worked her way to the tip top, and then she has this music career on the side.
And then it was like, you know, he was writing everything for her, and she was getting pissed, and then he was going to leave. And if he left her, she's shit out of luck for having any songs. You know, it's for continuing on. You know, it's like there's a whole.
Well, there's a very odd thing with him and Amy and a lot of the other parts of the 27 Club where these people were starting to clean their act up, and then they meet these very peculiar demises. Like sometimes when you think about like the dark sides of this industry, it's like the easiest to control people are people with heavy addictions, you know, and to keep people in the palm of their hand, a lot of people are kept medicated and put in these kind of awful situations.
You know, musicians are flawed, damaged people, and that's where a lot of inspiration comes from. You know, so it's a hand in hand. But you know, Amy Winehouse was really hit me. That was like, like what a talent, and like just that, damn, you know. And then I think Prince was the one that really affected me more than I ever thought a celebrity death would affect me. Like for the longest time, I was always like, all right, I'm sad, but like, all right, people mourning somebody you don't know was weird to me for a long time.
Yeah, someone that's just a hero, but they're miles out of the distance.
They don't know me, I don't know them, you know. But for some reason, man, Prince, like that was a end of an era, end of a chapter feeling of my youth or my upbringing in music, especially, you know. I grew up from a young age. Michael Jackson and Prince were the biggest thing going. And I grew up trying to sing like them, you know, so it was like, you know, Prince and Michael Jackson's voices are just etched. I have a falsetto because that's how I sang as a child. Mm-hmm. My whole life was just singing up in the rafters trying to emulate them. So it was like, Prince was just a very different death for me that I'd never saw coming. I never saw myself being affected that way.
Yeah. I've always heard this phrase that like you're never grown until both your parents are gone. And I think when you have someone that's as musically formative as that, like you said, it's kind of like, it's almost like the end of your childhood. It's like my hero is as human as everybody else. And it's not like any of us walk around denying those kind of things.
Right.
But it's eerie when it sets in like that.
And then more recently when Taylor Hawkins, because Foo Fighters is my favorite band, you know, and Taylor passed, and it was like, man, like that's a weird feeling, because I think I wrote a whole post about it of, you know, it's not even that he knew me or I knew him. We didn't know each other, but we were in each other's presence many times, whether he knows it or not. And whether it was a good day or a bad day, you know, the songs that he played on maybe got me through certain things. So there's an emotional connection to what they did, you know, whether I knew them or not, you know. And you know, I stopped wanting to discount that, you know, because I did for a long time, where, you know, Glenn Frey passed and a lot of Eagles fans were crying, and I was like, come on.
Well, it's Glenn Frey.
Glenn Frey's an asshole.
Worst Eagle, lowest on the total.
He's an asshole.
Give us Don back.
Yeah, come on, give me Don Henley all day. But
I like it better with Vince Gill. Dude, Vince Gill with the Eagles, cold. So good.
Icy. But no, it was like, you know, for the longest time I was like, all right, you know, I'm sad, but, you know, I got to go mow the grass.
Yeah.
Well, I think I wanted to stop discounting that emotional connection, you know, where it's like, it's okay, you know, it's okay. And I'm not mourning them as if I'm a friend. I'm mourning that chapter is done, or that, you know, that they, without knowing it, they helped me through some things, or they've inspired me through some things. And it's like, it's okay to have that connection.
Yeah.
You know?
I think especially when you invest heavily in the experience that someone provides, like every time Taylor Hawkins takes a drum solo and you feel like you forgot about everything else but that drum solo.
You're just,
yeah, you have a moment to thank them for. It's like, and I was saying this to a friend the other day. I think what you and I do is, as much as we are there for the entertainment, we're there to be temporary friends to people. It's
Absolutely.
Like, I'm here so you can either vent whatever this ugly burden is on your mind on my break, even if I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Or I'm going to play you a song that hopefully hits right there. Like there's many songs that are just covers to me, and then someone comes up and tells me why they need it or why they needed it, and suddenly that song is all about them for the rest of my life.
And I'll play it different. I'll play it better. You know, I'll sing it better. Whatever it is, like somebody did that recently. I'm not a huge Zach Bryan fan, but somebody asked his song, Something in the Orange. This is maybe a month or two ago. This couple had come from a concert, from an Aaron Lewis concert, and they were highly disappointed in this concert, right? Like they left halfway through and shit, and you know, and I was like, and they were like, we heard there's live music here, so we're here, and they were like in this bad mood, and I was like, all right, I was like, well, I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not Aaron Lewis, you know, like, not that I think he's a god, but I'm just me, you know, like, but I started playing, they're like, oh man, this is great, this is so much better, and I was like, it felt awesome, and then they asked for the song, and they were like, this is, I can't tell you why, deep meaning to the song. And they were telling me, like, this chick had tears in her eyes talking about the song before I played it. And I'm like, all right,
Stakes are a little higher.
let's tighten the belt a little bit and let's play it right, So, and I was a line into the song and she's like, oh my God. Like, she thought it was the best thing she ever heard. And I'm like, as long as you think so, that's great. I'm hoping that's the feeling that even in playing somebody else's music that you can give to somebody, and that's, and you're absolutely right. Even with us entertaining, it's, we're trying to fulfill something here that you can't fulfill with the jukebox. Otherwise, they just have the jukebox on.
Yeah.
There's a reason they bring in a live musician. There's a different feel, there's a different energy in the room, and even watching a video of a concert, you don't have that energy. You can't grasp the energy because you're not there. You're just watching it. So the energy in the room of a live musician is really, the meat and potatoes. That's the whole idea.
Yeah. There's something I've been thinking about a lot recently that, as the world of entertainment changes as drastically as it does, you kind of need to coach people how to interact with your set the way that you want them to interact in a way that feels positive. Mm-hmm. To ask them to put their hands together for someone in your band, if given well, feels like an awesome moment because we all do it together. But when they can feel bitterness up there, like it's very prominent, and people don't clap the way that they used to. People don't ask for songs the way that they used to. They don't care the way that they used to. Mm-hmm. And that's not them personally. That's we as a society and how we view this thing.
Sure.
But those moments of true tenderness with people on things that it's not your song, it's not their night, it's
right.
just, it's for whatever reason visceral.
Yeah.
And you don't know your value until you are the difference maker for someone like that.
Yeah, and that's the payoff too. You walk away feeling like that's why that's why I don't want to play at home by myself on a couch. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm out. I have to have that occasional home run. Sometimes you hit. Some days you strike out. Some days it's a single. Some days it's a homer. It's like, and you just hold on to those home runs every now and then where you're like, oh, that's why. Piggybacking off what you said about crowds changing. I think live music etiquette is a term I use a lot, and there's, and while it's easy to just blame the generation or the people, or etiquette is taught, and it's not, you're not born knowing how to interact with a band. Mm-hmm. You have to be taught how to watch a band, how to watch live music. It's not the same as a DJ where you walk up to a DJ in the middle of a song and you can talk to them and request a song, and people act like you have to. Not that I teach them in a bad, but it's just like, hang on,
yes,
I can't, and it's but we have to be easy on them a little bit too, because it's easy to just bash on it like this is bullshit, like nobody knows how to act, nobody, everybody's just a jerk, and it's just like, well, what have they been taught?
Yeah. You have to refoster that environment in a lot of ways. I think for some of us, it takes a little bit more visualizing of what do you want your show to come out as. Like, in a lot of ways, the original tunes is a hill that I'm dying on right now. And I love that adamance in my own life, but I also know I'm not the end-all, be-all in the world of songwriting. To touch my heroes is an aspiration, not a reality.
Right.
So I need to have a fair compromise of when I pitch those things to people. Mm-hmm. But also realizing that if you plan well and you come out vulnerable and available and willing to entertain these people while also putting yourself out there as an artist, you could make some lifelong fans. Mm-hmm. There's a potential there. And
the thing is, I think we get stuck on how I have to be a certain level to have fans or whatever, and it's okay. If you can be whatever size fish and whatever size pond you feel. If you're a local if you've got local fans and you're a local artist, that's fine. That's good. You can do that. We don't have to all be, Justin Timberlake to have people enjoy our music.
Yeah. One overnight success, like you need the only 5 fans you have, and then the only 6 fans, and the only 30 fans you have. It's like there's a little bit of nonsense in that, and there's something really odd too about when it's on a local level. Calling that a fan and not a friend can feel a little egotistical, but it's like you need to leverage in your own mind the opportunity to scale as you feel is fit. It's like, don't be the Burger King of this. Don't come out and have a lot of shitty product. Come out with meaningful shows. Like, one bit of advice that I need to take on my own end is to play less and to be entertained more. To go to a show where I feel like I take part in their experience, so I know what I want in my experience.
I agree with that. And like we were talking about earlier, when you get into a scene, you kind of have to immerse yourself a bit. And I learned a lot. And surprisingly, what I learned was a lot of what not to do. I watched a lot of guys play, and I was like, I didn't like that.
Yeah,
I didn't like that. And I started going, why am I so negative? But I was like, well, no, but once you identify what you don't like is when you identify what you like. Mm-hmm. It's, kind of turn that table a little bit. It's like I was watching somebody interact with somebody. I was like, ooh, I didn't like how he did that. Well, now I know I'm not going to act like that. I'm going to
avoid that.
I'm going to avoid that, and that's okay. But yeah, there's and there's a soul feeding that has to happen too. If we're constantly cooking, you got to eat sometimes. It's like, it's okay to take a night off and go, bounce around. If I have an early gig, I'd like to go bounce around and hopefully maybe have my soul fed a little bit,
Yeah. Well, Sundays, is slowly turned into something that I really look forward to just because I have friends on the street that it's our 15 minutes to chat in a week. But it's like, man, do we cover some ground in those moments? Because we don't see a lot of each other outside of that. That's the hard thing about your musician friends is we work the same hours. And it's hard to give phone calls during the day to try to talk to people about things, but sometimes you got to.
Yeah. And that's the thing. If we're not working, we're not getting paid. So, I can't expect people to take nights off. It's like, and mainly when I get out is when I have an early show. Mm-hmm. And I'll try to go out after. Like, last night I was done at 12. I swung by MLT and saw a buddy play for the last half hour or whatever it was, and it's like,
that's bold. Midnight is not the time where I'm like, it's early enough for me to go catch a set.
It's on the way home, nightcap. Let's go home. But yeah, like Sundays are fun. Sundays are kind of the loosen up day. It's normally my 6th gig since Tuesday or whatever, same. And
it's like, what do I have left in the tank to give here? But the moment that I set foot on the street and my shit's in the club, it's like, all right, my job's kind of over. Like, what I need to do is start enjoying myself again. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it looks like more liquor than I like to admit consume, but like, whatever.
Yeah.
Y'all still throwing shots at Mike Johns when you're done with him?
Yeah, why wouldn't we?
Dude, that is by far the most ridiculous treatment I've ever seen of a bandmate, and the way he tolerates it is inspiring.
I don't even know what it started at.
Probably Sean being like, I'll drink that last little drop, but whatever's left is going on Mike.
Because depending on what I was given, if I do a shot, sometimes I get mad at it and I just slam it down. I'm like I did not want this. Dang it. And I probably at one point just was like, whang,
And that's why that house kit's so sticky,
man. That house kit, man, there's DNA all over that.
Dude, that carpet was just the worst call, though. The carpet's so foul.
I said that when I walked in. I was like, whose great idea was this? This thing is going to be a petri dish.
Bro, it's like stepping on the sham wow at the end of the commercial where they're like, look at this 2 liter of Coke that we just absorbed with this.
Squeezing it out. It's like,
dude.
How much tequila and Jaeger is just, I can't.
Yeah.
And they taped it down like, you're not getting this thing off.
This is a permanent install.
You're not getting this off.
It's not like you added carpet to the stage. You taped something to the goddamn stage.
No, you taped, it's now a permanent resident of this stage. It's like, how about a piece of plastic or something? I don't know. It was not good. It's gross, dude.
How did you end up with your particular guitar rig right now, where it's like
lazy?
Well, it sounds good. It's like the little fly rig pedal sounds nice. That I was just thinking about my pedals sticking to the stage and how sad that is. But it's like that little piece of equipment does everything it seems like you need it to.
Man, when I started traveling more with it, I was like, man, I need something because I can't get on a plane with an amp.
Yeah. Do you take 2 guitars when you fly for gigs?
I do. I've got a backpacker
and then
with a dual guitar case.
Oh,
on my
like
back.
the double
The Gator
mono
ones.
case.
Yeah, it's a Gator one. Yeah,
Nice,
same
nice.
thing. So yeah, I take my backups. I don't take my PRS or my Taylor.
Yeah. You don't take your Silver Sky?
Not on a plane.
Okay.
That scares
Oh,
me.
do you take your?
I take my
your...
Parker.
Okay, nice.
Which is fine and it sounds great. It's a lot cheaper, and if it broke, I'd
Yeah.
be sad but not devastated.
My first mentor played a Parker, and I find those guitars so much fun.
They're
man.
fun. They're light.
Tight body size, that
Yeah.
weird ass headstock.
Yep, and it's light.
Yeah.
It weighs like 2 pounds.
Really?
You know, and it's like
What's your Silver Sky weight? It's like a normal Strat.
yeah, it's like
kinda?
a Strat. Yeah, it's
Okay.
like 7 pounds or whatever.
And then your semi-hollow body. Have you taken that out in
I
weeks?
haven't. I haven't taken that out in a long time. Actually, I'd sell it.
Dude, I saw it on
never
Facebook
play it.
Marketplace. I was like, you rat bastard.
It's so pretty.
It is. It's a gorgeous guitar.
I like my Silver Sky. I
Yeah.
like how it sounds, and I'm like, I'm good. You know, so
So as an acoustic guy that's gone over to electric, do you like single coils because you can play big rich chords and not be too dense, or
yeah. My preference is just I'm not a great lead player, so I'm a heavy acoustic player. So I mean, I have a simplistic approach to my electric, but I surround myself with players that can't. So like, you know, in Audio Graffiti, I've got Jerry. He plays leads.
yeah?
Great.
Jay crushes the game. He has a lot of things in the back of his like.
Yeah.
I love strictly lead guitar players because they come out, they do know the intros to most of this bullshit
Yeah.
or this solo. It's like, man, you got a deep
Learn the song.
subconscious. Yeah,
Yeah.
learn the song.
You know, and it's like we're not just, you know, hacking through. We got another song, and it's like, but I need that. You know, I've got 10 things in my head going at the same time. You know, as the front, so it's like, you know, and you know, I've got Dave on bass, and he's like, hey, that kid woodsheds songs more than I do. He knows the songs better than I do half the time, and I'm like, oh crap.
And he wakes up at 5 a.m. and manages some kind of pill mill. You know,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like works in the world of farm.
The kid never sleeps.
Yeah,
I'm
legit.
I'm like, dude, man, like we'll go on the road, and we always joke that he's just like, we'll play till we won't go to bed till 3 or 4 in the morning or something, and we just joke that he goes to bed and he goes, well, back up, back at it, you know,
Let's
like,
do this. Let's go.
okay, and he'll walk 3 miles before I get out of bed.
Yeah.
Wild, but
He's a very particular bandmate, man. Like, I'll tell you, there's very few other players I've ever met in Cincinnati that have the all-out loving heart that Dave Anderson does. Like
and
that.
he loves playing. Like he just wants to play, and he just loves it. And he's like, and he's got that everyone's a friend personality,
Yeah.
you know. And honestly, like I've never really had that in a band member, so it's like I've kind of let him be him, you know. Like it used to be kind of on me to market network, and I'm like, no, he's great at that. Go for it, you know.
He sees those chances and he
Yep.
goes from. And he's very good at playing.
Yeah.
Playing, you know, a friend that you haven't seen in a while very quickly. Just gets comfortable with you, and like, it doesn't seem like it's to better the project. It's just like it's how he'd prefer to interact with people.
Yeah, it's not forced. I mean,
Yeah.
he likes it, he enjoys it, and he wants to talk, and he wants to talk about music and gigs, and you know, it's like it's refreshing. I like, and that's what I said when Cherry on Top ended and we were starting Audio Graffiti. I was like, you know, I want to play with people that want it,
Yeah.
you know, that want to play, and it's like, and they enjoy it, and I don't feel like I'm forcing them, you know, and it's easier said than done sometimes. So it's like, you know, it's such a unique mixture when you do a band, because it's not just players. It's not just how well do you play. Are you fun? Are you fun on stage? Are we bantering together? Do you look like a cardboard cutout, or are you moving around? You know, like, and I move around a lot, you know, so it's like I need the show. I can't just be playing and everybody is just standing there like a cardboard
then
cutout.
I look like a sore
I look
thumb.
like an idiot,
Yeah.
you know. So it's like I need people to bounce things off of and interact with, and they do that, and that's what I need. And so it's like we were saying earlier, the show isn't just audio; it's visual. You know, it's, you know, how engaging are you, people know if you're having a good time or not, you know, and it's like, if you look bored or you look like you don't want to be there, they don't either, you know? So half the fun that I have is we're laughing, and even inside jokes, we're joking and we're laughing, and people are watching us laugh, and you can see them going, I don't know why they're laughing, but it's making me laugh, you know? And it's like, but that's the fun of it. And you have, I think you have to have that. And if you don't have that type of interaction, you know, you're missing out.
And as you had, you know, this project that you poured a decade of your life and a couple near-death experiences into, you know, like that starts to close for whatever reason it does. How'd you kind of get your mind right to do it again? What made you want to?
I didn't want to do the same thing.
Fuck that.
I didn't want to. No, I was burned out, man. I mean, we were playing a lot, you know, so it was like, I came out of that and I basically said, I missed playing small bars because I hadn't been playing them. So, you know, there's cheap bars on a Friday, Saturday night that pay you, you know, you're going to walk with a couple $100 and, you know, but it's a good time.
Yeah. It's easy. It's no questions. I texted this guy, the gig's booked. It's 8 to 11. I have just my shit. I break down my shit. I go home.
And that's what I started as. And I was like, all right, so, you know, it was me and Dave and Boggs from Cherry on Top, and we were like, all right.
Did Dave Anderson play in Cherry on Top?
No.
Oh,
it was just me and Boggs, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And so I'd met Dave, and me and Dave were talking about doing something. Long story short, so we were playing as a trio at first. And I was like, and we were playing, you know, some small little bars, and I was like, man, this sounds pretty good. I was like, let me think more on this, you know. And I was like, all right, let's add, I need something more to this, you know, let's add a player. And so we started kind of doing that, and it just, between my contacts and then Dave's contacts with his previous band, you know, they're like, oh, let's go try Tin Roof, or let's go try, and it's like, it just kind of snowballed. I didn't plan to make it a traveling band at first. That really wasn't, but once I kind of saw the potential, I was like, all right, we can probably do this, you know. And why would I not, if I can take this to a beach, why would I play in Mainstrasse when I can be playing on a beach?
Yeah.
So,
and did you miss the road in that regard? Did you miss some of these clubs?
Yeah. I miss the travel experience. I enjoy the experience of going, checking into the hotel, going to find the venue, first time walking in, who's in charge. I just, there's something about that, you know, that experience that I enjoy. That early in the evening, nobody's really in the club and you're setting up. I don't know. I like that environment of feeling like, I hope in a couple hours the place is packed. You know, it's just and you know, you don't get that when you play the same clubs every night. So it's like finding new places, traveling.
New people to interact with at the bar too. Like seeing new listeners, like as much as it is a risk, you have no friends in the room. It's like you get to make friends in the room if you do your job well. And it's
this is going to sound a little shallow, a little surface, but I also like the perception of it. I like the calendar, man. I like what it looks like.
Yeah, well, like you said, like for the original thing, you can't stay just in Cincinnati. People don't want what they can have. People want what they can't have. So there needs to be an element of, you didn't come to this show? Well, I'm out of town for the next month and a half.
I'm not going to be here.
Yeah. And in that, you get people to redirect their feelings of, this is priority, this doesn't. I'm going to their show.
Yeah, because they might be out of town for the next few weeks or whatever it is. But I also think that you know, lends to, wow, this band is bigger than I thought, or they're doing more than I was giving them credit for. You know, more consistently, you're like, man, they're always on the road. Like I like that. I like that feeling of. I like people being jealous of my calendar. I like people wondering how I did it or how we did it. You know, I like that. You know. I like having more up my sleeve. You know, we're working on this, we're working on that. And I'm like, if that works out, man, people are going to be like, how'd you do that? You know, that's what I like that.
Yeah. I think also the diversity of the calendar, it's like, if you play the same show every single night, it just has less fun. You know, like I like the variety of different bandmates in different places and different shows and different crowds. And there's something about this where it's like, you will run out of love for this one thing. That's why it has to be different every single night.
It does. About a month ago, we had a Friday, Saturday night gig. So Friday we were at Miami Valley Casino. Saturday we were at Tin Roof, Cincinnati. Well, Friday night's show was completely different from Saturday night show. We played almost a completely different set list, and on purpose. We weren't at Miami Valley. We were playing to 35 to 55-year-olds. Tin Roof, Cincinnati, we were playing to
15 to 25.
could be younger. I mean, hell, what was your first time in a Tin Roof?
I was
about that
playing at
age.
Tin Roof at 19, I think. With the tab, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Here's a
I'm
tab
not
for
saying I
this
drank,
kid.
but like,
Let his dad drink on it.
yeah, exactly. Dude, my parents, they drove me to so many gigs. For a while, it was like, okay, you guys got to drink the tab because I'm not going to do
I can't
nothing
drink
with it.
Yeah.
And then at one point, I'm like, Dad, give me a glass of wine. He goes, I'm not helping you with this.
I'm not going to enable this.
I'm like, Dad,
Yeah.
it's our tab.
Leave it to me. My son's been in bars with me since he was 8.
Dude, getting to hang out on Halloween, the Halloween that I got to sub with y'all and get to see Garrett, like, that's a good ass time,
It
man.
was fun, yeah. It's funny because I have to tell my friends, like, hey, man, let's go easy on him here tonight. He's not,
don't
he's not of
black him
age.
out. Yeah.
It's bad enough I got him in a bar. I can't have this get back to his mom that we've been feeding him, shots and
Fireball of all things,
like,
where it's
oh my god. So, yeah, it's. I remember that, like, probably 8 or 9 years old was when I first started. I am proud of it, but I'm not. But I was like, hey, man, I'll give you $20 if you carry this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I love that, man.
But I think, if your parent does this, you have so many questions about what that means.
Yeah.
The sooner you can get transparent and being like, sometimes your dad needs a ride home, and you just got your temps.
It's the best thing that ever happened.
Really? Did he ever drive you back?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's driven me home before. I'm like, hey, man, you want to drive? Here's the keys.
That's
like,
awesome.
All right. And he's cool with that. He gets it. And that's the thing, though. I never would have put him in a situation I didn't think he could handle either.
Yeah.
So it's like he was mature and even-keeled, steady. Like, I knew he could take care of himself. As long as he had one of my friends or somebody around that he could hang with, he was golden. So it was like, I never put him in a place that he wasn't going to be okay, but it's
like
just
the
weird
upper
to think
lounge
about.
at MVPs where it's
Okay, you hang here with the groupies and
yeah. You see that shower, how it just keeps running? That's because there's things growing in there that are petri dish-esque.
You don't want to go up there.
Unless you're Mike John, then you want to go out there. There's a lot of good things there for
Do
Mike
not
John.
take a black light. Don't take a black light into most places that concern music. So
Yeah, it's not good for your
bad
heart.
form.
Yeah.
And I don't want to call anybody out. It's like
No.
That could have been so and so.
It's a dirty gig, man. Like,
It is, man.
Especially when it's like I show up in my nice clothes, I sweat through them, I take shots with people that they brought from the back of the bar. I don't know what's going on with this. Like, it smells like Kahlua. I find that foul. Let's do this.
Okay,
Like,
then I'll drink it.
yeah, it's like we're doing that the pancake shot. Like, that always disturbs me because like I'm not ready to go to Waffle House in
Breakfast,
my mind.
Irish breakfast.
Yes,
yeah.
Shit's too banging.
I drink those a lot like this.
Dude, I can't do it.
There's one in Key West. There's a place that has Irish breakfast, and it serves it with a piece of candied bacon. Man, it's good.
Take me to Key West with you, Brad, please. Sometime.
You and I would clean up tips.
Yeah,
I can
dude.
tell you that. It'd
Dude,
be
and we get a lot
nasty.
of piercings. You know what I'm saying?
I'd come back like with neck tattoos. It'd be like The Hangover.
Dude, a neck tat of all things, definitely the funniest way to come back. Like, dude,
That's a good Key West trip right there.
I think the best neck tat I've ever seen on a musician is a guy who had like the Shure Super 55 on his Adam's apple, and I was like, that's so bold but so sweet. Like,
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
iconic. When did you get your first tat?
What was my first one? It was my Old English G for Gavin.
Nice.
That was right after he was born. So what was I, 30?
And then like the doors open to tats, and then you get your other.
And then you get one, and you can't stop. So it's
I'm about to get back in the game, but the cost of it is just like
Yeah.
it's not something that makes tangible sense to me to pour my cash into.
Not-
but I'm not getting a cheap tat.
not back to back to back. There's some people that they're constantly going. I'm like, I can't. I'll do like one a year. I don't know.
Some
like-
people want to be covered.
Yeah.
Smothered and covered.
So, speaking of a black light. No, I want more. I want to finish my arm. I want, there's a whole bunch that I want to do, but I'm like, yeah, that's another grand and whatever it is. I'm like, I don't know.
All things in time.
I've got other things I need to do first.
Yes,
so.
exactly. Well, anything you want to promote before we wrap this up, Brad? Where they can find you and all that?
Well, you can find me, bradmartinmusic.com. You can find my band, Audio Graffiti, Cincy, CINCY.com.
Most of your handles are like bmartin2323 or something like that?
Yeah, it's stuff like that. My Insta got hacked, so right now
Recently?
I don't have an Insta. I'm just going to start a new one. I was trying to get my old one back, and it's just not happening. So,
brother, I went through that as well.
It's a pain.
hell.
It's a pain in the ass. So I might just start a new Insta. But for now, you can find me at the website, get to my Facebook and things like that. Same with the band. This weekend, most interestingly, we are going all country tomorrow night at Shiners on the Levee, which is, I've already gotten many a text like, huh? I'm like, yeah, come see what happens.
Let's get down.
Yeah, it's. I went there a couple times and I was like, this place is slamming. I gotta play, and I contacted them. They're like, it's all country, and I was like,
we can do that.
Okay.
we can do the
I was
off-brand.
I went, how much country? He goes, 98%. And I went, okay, if that's what the gig calls for. And I'm like, it's not my bag, but we have enough country to get. And I'm like,
you're prepped for it.
We'll see. It's just funny. Like, if you would have told me 5 years ago I'd be playing a country bar, I would have laughed you out of here. Like, yeah, that's not happening. But
sometimes you just got to be able to put on the 10-gallon hat and call it a night. Like,
dude, I need some assless chaps and some spurs. I'm thinking about dressing up, but then it'll look hokey.
Dude, my mother has bought me a lot of
assless chaps.
Weird clothing over the years. let me proceed. A lot of weird clothing where I'm like, she has a good eye for it. She also has the time to be like, I found some weird shit at Macy's. I think you should try this on. And I'm like, God bless you for doing it. Because it's not like in my life I have the expendable income at all points in time or the time to be like, that's a weird shirt. Let's go with it. She calls me one day and says, hey, come on up to the Snooty Fox. I want you to try something on. And I'm like, Mom.
She's chilling at the Snooty.
I'm like, I don't have a lot of time. I'll definitely come by. Let's do this. I walk in and like with the full roll, and you hear these things unroll because they're pleather, red assless chaps. And I said, Ma, I'm not trying those on. I got to get to my gig. I've regretted it every day since, Brad. Every day. I wish I had red leather assless chaps.
I would have bought them if you didn't. Like, I would have been like, call me. I'd be like, I'll be there. I'll wear these just for I'm just gonna put them in my closet. I'll find a reason.
Yeah. Is there any old outfit pieces that you look back in your closet and see and you're like, I can't believe those days are gone, or I can't believe those days were here?
Just mostly tight jeans, because I back when I was in better shape or something, but it was like,
show some bulge.
That's not my bag now. It's like, I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard these days,
I also don't want to cut off blood flow. That's how your feet swell.
And it's like, I don't want to look like, Led Zeppelin with the,
as long as you don't start with the sweatpants. Shots fired at Kevin Fox. Quit wearing sweatpants. I love you, brother. That bastard. I'll show up to a Sunday gig. He goes, Sundays we wear sweatpants. I'll stretch them out. I'm like, Kev, you geek me out.
Oh my God. That reminds me of Bob Cushing. Like when he would show up every gig in these sweats and or like these running pants. I'm like, Bob, I love you, man, but you've never ran a day in your life. And he's got these tearaways.
Take the tracksuit off.
Like find a pair of jeans. I don't know, brother. It doesn't have to be like that.
Dude, it's a filthy game in the fashion world.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's a weird game. Especially I keep talking about my age. As you get older, though, it's like I don't want to look like I'm trying too hard, like I'm trying to be young, but I still want to be fashionable. But it's like,
yes,
when's the line get drawn where you're like, okay, now you look like an idiot?
Yeah, it's a very tough give and take for sure.
Oh, totally.
Well, Bradley, I love you.
Love you, buddy.
Thank you for coming on.
Dude, thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much.
People, follow the man. We'll see you next time on the Weekly Wave. Peace, players.